Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Coleman, he'll shoot and he'll score! One in the area! And it's on, we did it! Good afternoon everyone, a very happy Good Friday to you all, and what better day to spend a bank holiday than not making that long journey all the way up to Hull, but spending it with myself instead here on Cardiff City TV as we bring you live coverage of the Bluebirds' latest trip up to Humberside. It's not been a happy hunting ground over the years for the Bluebirds, just one win in our last 6 games, that being that Sean Morrison game, of course, his double, which pretty much pushed Cardiff towards promotion to the Premier League the last time we tasted the lofty heights of top-tier football. This year, it's a very different fixture between the two clubs, locked in 15th and 20th position in the Championship table, but a good 15 and 20 points, rather, off the drop zone itself. So both teams all but assured of playing Championship football again next season. Cardiff mathematically so after last week's win against Reading. Hull all but there as well. It would take a quite dramatic shift in these remaining fixtures for them to get lured back into trouble, considering the form of Reading, who have got a chance to save themselves, and Barnsley, whose momentum has just faltered them in recent weeks. Let's not bury the headline news then. Cardiff make changes, and plenty of changes, ahead of this afternoon's away trip. We expect to see changes again on Monday with the two fixtures in such close proximity over this Easter bank holiday weekend. 2 games, of course, in a matter of 4 days. 7 changes this afternoon for Steve Morrison on the back of that win at Reading. Cardiff revert back to a back 3. He alluded to as such in his post-match comments after the win at Reading, said that they played a back 4 with one eye on next season and being tactically flexible, but also because that he was pretty confident, given the recent form of Reading and their own tactics, that Reading were going to line up with a back 4. So clearly Steve Morrison at the moment looking to match up opposition in terms of shape, and with Hull deploying a back 3 themselves, Cardiff revert back to a back 3 this afternoon. So it's all change in the back 3, it's all change in the front 3 as well. 7 changes, as I've said, in total. The only person dropping out of the matchday squad in totality is captain Joe Rolls, who left the pitch late on for Will Vaulks, whose goal won that game at the Majeski Stadium. Late on, Vaulks replaces Rolls in the starting lineup. This afternoon, Rolls drops out with that hip problem from the matchday squad in totality. So the Cardiff team then, Dylan Phillips, it's his position from now until the end of the season. That's been cemented by the manager's comments in pre-match yesterday, where he confirmed also that Alex Smithies will be leaving the club in the summer. So Dylan Phillips is starting gloves from now until the end of the season, and gets a really good opportunity to stake a claim going into a busy summer period. The back 3 of Oliver Denham, who gets a first Championship start in a Cardiff shirt after, of course, that thrilling debut away at Anfield in the FA Cup back in January. Aidan Flint back at the centre of the back 3, back with the captain's armband this afternoon as well. And Mark McGuinness comes back in also after a well-earned rest last Saturday. Cody Drameh and Joel Bagan continue in the full-back positions, although slightly higher up the pitch this afternoon. And then Will Vaulks and Ryan Wintle, the 2 men in the middle of the park. So it's a slightly different shape from Cardiff as well. Not 3 in the middle this afternoon, but 3 up front instead. Mark Harris comes back in on the left-hand side. Isaac Davis on the right-hand side, and Uche Ikpeazu gets a well-earned start with Jordan Hugill dropping to the bench. The bench then, Rowan Luthra, a young goalkeeper, stepped up from the under-23 setup to back up Dylan Phillips with an injury to George Ratcliffe, who would be doing so otherwise. Curtis Nelson, who made his welcome return to the starting 11 last week and was rather excellent against Reading. He's back on the bench this afternoon, and I no doubt expect to see him in the team for Monday. Perry Ng gets a well-earned break this afternoon, dropping to the bench, as does Tommy Doyle. Alfie Doughty back on the bench as well. Joel Bagan chosen ahead of him, and Ruben Colwell and Jordan Hugill completing that lineup for Cardiff. For Hull, there are changes as well, but they will play a back three. Hull will line up with veteran Matt Ingram in goals, Alfie Jones, Sean McLaughlin and Jacob Greaves across the back line. Louis Coyle comes back in at the right wing back position, his first game since the middle of February. Brandon Fleming continues at left wing back. It's Richard Smallwood and Regan Slater together in the middle of the park, and then George Honeyman acting as the number 10 in behind young fledgling striker Keane Lewis Potter, who's having a brilliant campaign into double figures already for him, and Alia Sayamanesh, who's on loan from Fenerbahce and gets a start up front also. So plenty of rotation for both teams as they look to build really towards next season. Very much one eye on next season. Great result for Hull last time up. They beat Middlesbrough by 1-0, a single goal from Keane Lewis Potter. I'm going to get that name confused all afternoon. They were in a bit of a sticky run of form before that, but that 3 points last time out has really alleviated any lingering fears of relegation, and it means both teams can go into this afternoon's game with a little bit of pressure off. Let's hear now then from Cardiff manager Steve Morrison. He spoke to the assembled press yesterday, as always, ahead of today's game, and he touched on a number of subjects, notably looking forward for next year and what kind of transfer policy the club are going to adopt.
We're looking at next season in terms of, from a planning point of view, recruitment, trying to do deals for next year, etc. But from a day-to-day basis, we're working on the next game, and we've got a plan for tomorrow and we've got a plan for Monday. So all the work we did on the training ground yesterday was in preparation for Hull. Hopefully all goes to plan, and we'll be ready for Monday as well. So it's a great time as a football fan and as a player. 2 games in quick succession, but a headache for a manager and their coaching staff, because you're trying to get 2 games in 4 days, which is hard work at the best of times. So yeah, obviously main focus right now is Hull. I've said all along, with like a balanced squad next year, you would like to have resources at your disposal that you could play 4, you could play 3. Let's get it right. The formation that got us out of the trouble we was in was a 3 at the back with 2 up top. So let's not get too caught up in formations. Let's more look at the way we're going about our business, the way we're playing, and regardless of what shape that is in terms of on a piece of paper, it's more of what we're doing and how we're wanting to play that's more of the focus. Yeah, a team that's obviously still not mathematically safe, so they're still fighting for their lives, a bit like the Reading game. I think they'll be all right where they are in the league in terms of like they're pretty clear. I think it's only Reading that maybe are going to have to keep looking over their shoulders. But yeah, like they're going through a period as well. They've got new owners. Grant McCann was doing excellent there and then lost his job, as what often happens with new owners. They brought a new manager in. Results have been up and down, but their last result was a huge one, winning 1-0 away at Middlesbrough. That's a great result. So look, they're home in front of their fans. I presume there'll be a lot of people there, being Good Friday. And as per usual, we'll go there and try and spoil the party. I personally, and me just being honest with you, I was really uncomfortable with you're this many clear and you're safe, because you know that, especially when we was going on the Saturday, Tuesday, said like you could lose 4 on the bounce, and next thing you know you're 3 points above safety. So it was obviously just one of those moments. It was an emotional day anyway, an emotional time, especially off the back of the week before. But obviously that just gave you that clarity and that ability to be able to sit in front of you guys and not have to worry about relegation fears anymore. So from that point, it was kind of a weight off his shoulders, but it was also a reconnection for us in the fact that it's actually the most important time now. It's not a time to shut off and just go through the motions, because like what people need to realise is that we've got some huge games coming up. You've got the likes of, obviously Hull is still fighting, obviously Reading was still fighting, Luton, they're in the playoffs. We've got 2 home games, and it'd be great to put on performances at home. Birmingham was maybe the only game that neither team's going to have anything on. Sheffield United are going for something, Middlesbrough live on Sky are going for something, and then Derby could still be alive by the time we go. And so there's some huge games there, and it's making sure that we're we're connected. And I think that's what I'm really pleased about with our squad in terms of with the young players. They just want to play and they want to win. The lone players are all just chomping at the bit. They want to play football. So we've got a nice blend in the squad that would mean that we're not just going to saunter until the end of the season. You've got Nels, who's come back in, who's missed a large part of us getting to this point. So he's still in a driving mode in his head that he wants to finish the season really well ahead of next year. So I think we've got a good balance, and I hope that will help us between now and the end of the season in terms of competing in these games as well.
Welcome back to Cardiff City TV. Steve Morrison there, talking yesterday ahead of today's game with Hull City and talking at length about the planning that's going into next season already. Cardiff, of course, mathematically safe now, 20 points ahead of the drop zone and mathematically safe after those 3 hard-earned points away at Reading last week. Oh, that's a surprise. Delighted to say I am now joined by Connor Pearce, who last time we checked was having connection difficulties up at Hull. He has made the long journey up to Humberside this weekend so that myself and you guys at home don't have to. Thank you very much for that, Connor. It looks a lovely day up there, but somewhere over the years that hasn't been a particularly happy hunting ground for Cardiff. Can we hear?
I'm not getting anything from it.
Do you want to come back to me?
Yeah, back to you, Ash.
Going to cut my colleague off there because we clearly, I can hear anything he is saying. So I'll just get one of the producers to drop him a message as such. Hull, though, we know the Cardiff's form coming into this game. Cardiff actually third in the form table coming into this afternoon's game. Just Swansea City, unfortunately, and we're aware of that case. And Nottingham Forest ahead of them. Cardiff with 13 points from the last 6 games. Just one defeat. Of course, that defeat to Swansea, so painful, still in the memory. And also that one draw, the drab 0-0 draw with Preston. Nottingham Forest might just be tumbling off that form table top, actually, because I'm just checking now. They were clinging on to they were trying to fight back. Luton Town, who of course we play on Monday, clinging on to a 1-0 win at Kenilworth Road there ahead of this afternoon's 3 o'clock kickoffs, and that would mean those two teams flip-flop in 4th and 5th place in the Championship table. Cardiff with teams with plenty to play for still this season. Sheffield United, of course, hosting Cardiff in a couple of weeks' time. Luton Town, of course, on Monday, both with serious playoff aspirations. And who knows, by the final day of the season when we visit Derby County, what could be the place there. And then we've got that rearranged fixture, of course, Tuesday the 27th of April with Middlesbrough, another team chasing down a playoff spot. It's getting pretty hairy, it's getting pretty tight amongst those playoff places, somewhere the Cardiff are usually used to being in the rough and tumble off. Unfortunately, of course, not this season. Looking at Hull's form coming into this game then, they had that win, as I mentioned in the first part of the show, away at Middlesbrough, really fine win last time out. Before that, they'd got themselves in a little bit of a sticky patch of form, lost to Luton and Huddersfield in the 2 games prior to that, after a win over Coventry and a draw with Birmingham before that. You actually look at Hull's form for the season, and you think of the reverse fixture back in November. At that point, they were in the midst of 4 consecutive wins. They put 3 consecutive wins together as well in January, and that makes up, those 7 games make up a huge crux of just the 11 games that they've actually won in this division this season. So it could have been a much more difficult season for them were it not for those 2 little runs of form. And it just shows you the fine margins we're talking about in Championship football. They changed manager, of course, as did we midway through the season. Out went Grant McCann, who's since taken up a position back at Peterborough United, one of his former clubs. In came Shorter Avaladze, a former Ajax and Rangers legend. He'd been out of the game for a couple of years. But he's done a good revitalising job up on Humberside, and it looks like another season of Championship football for the Tigers, which will be sweet relief to the fans up there because, of course, they were relegated back to League One after just a one-season stay on their last visit to the Championship, actually relegated on this ground behind us here at Cardiff City Stadium. In recent visits then, or recent games between the two clubs, like I said, only one win in 6 visits to the KCOM Stadium for the Bluebirds. That back in April 2018. It's an unforgettable game, of course. 2 goals from Sean Morrison on the afternoon, enough to seal a 2-0 win and enough to move Cardiff inches away from securing that promotion to the Premier League back then. Otherwise, Cardiff's home record against Hull, very good. Away form has been a little bit stickier, to say the least. Quickly run you through the teams then, because we're having connection problems trying to get my colleague Connor Pearce back on the call. So before we hear from Curtis Nelson ahead of this afternoon, let's just quickly run you back through the two teams. For Cardiff, 7 changes in total ahead of this afternoon, and a whole new back 3 and a whole new front 3. Essentially, Cardiff reverting back to a 3 at the back formation after playing a back 4 last weekend. It's Dylan Phillips who continues to get the start in goal, and looks like he will get the start from now until the end of the season, injury permitting, of course. It's a whole new back 3. Oliver Denham comes in for his first Championship start in a Cardiff shirt. He's had to be patient. He gets his opportunity this afternoon. Aidan Flint comes back in and wears the captain's armband at the centre of the 3, with Mark McGuinness also installed. Cody Drama and Joel Bagan keep their positions in the wing-back areas, as does Ryan Wintle, but in comes Will Volks, the match winner a week ago. He replaces the injured Joe Rolls, who drops out of the 18 altogether. And in the front 3, it's Mark Harris and Isaac Davis coming in, both to support Uche Ikpeazu, who gets the start over Jordan Hugel, who drops to the bench, the Cardiff bench. Rowan Luthra, Curtis Nelson, Perry Ng, Tommy Doyle, Alfie Doughty, Ruben Colwell and Jordan Hugel. 4 Hull changes for them as well, but they remain in a back 3 formation, which is why Cardiff have matching them up. Matt Ingram, the veteran goalkeeper, in goals. A back 3 of Alfie Jones, Sean McLaughlin and Jacob Greaves, as it has been for much of this season. Louis Coyle returns to the right wing-back position. Former Leeds and Fleetwood Town man gets his first start in nearly 2 months. Brandon Fleming keeps his position on the left-hand side, and in the midfield it's a threesome of Richard Smallwood and Regan Slater playing behind George Honeyman. The front 2, Keane Lewis Potter, who's in fantastic form, 10 goals already for the 21-year-old, and Aliyah Sayadamesh up front on loan from Fenerbahce. Those are your two teams then ahead of this afternoon's 3 o'clock kick-off. We now have time to throw you over to a pre-recorded interview with Curtis Nelson, who got his first start in a Cardiff shirt in a couple of months in last week's 2-1 win away at Reading. And then the other side of some important messages, you've got live coverage of this afternoon's game with the Bluebirds and Hull City with myself, Ashley James, on live commentary.
So Curtis, first of all, how did it feel to be back in the first team lineup at Reading on the weekend?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It's been quite a while since obviously I've played for the first team. Obviously, I've had a few 23s games to try and get my fitness back. So yeah, it was brilliant, and it was even better to get a result.
We saw you play for the under-23s, as you say, against Barnsley at Cardiff City Stadium a week or so before. And after you've had a long injury like you have, it's all about taking those small steps to make sure you're prepared fully for a return to action, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what that game was for. The one at Barnsley at home, and there was a game at Colchester away, which was good to get some minutes in, 90 minutes in as well. So that's the gaffer there. It was good to get the minutes in, but yeah, it's what it is.
Coming back into the side in a defensive 4 rather than the 5 that we've seen for most of the season, but you've got experience of both, haven't you? Playing in both systems, and you're comfortable and ready to go in whatever system you're brought into.
Yeah, exactly. When I first came in under Warnock, and then with Neil Harris, we played as a 4. We did switch to a 3 at some point with Neil, and obviously with Mick. But we've played both this season now as a 3 and now as a 4. So it's something that I think all the boys at the back are capable of doing, and we've got kind of experiencing all the positions across those where needs to be gone. So.
And you've played alongside Mars and Flinty for most of your Cardiff career. But a new partner on the weekend in Perry, as you say, but he's got that experience, so many games under his belt already.
He's so chilled on the pitch. It's quite reassuring. Like I know exactly what he's doing, but like you said, it's different playing with Moz and Flinty and even Macca, because they're out and out centre halves. I do think about things a little bit differently. Not playing with a centre half. It's a natural centre half, but he picks it up and he didn't look like. He didn't look like he hadn't played there before. I know that, so I'm sure he has. I haven't checked his stats or whatever, but no, he was brilliant, and I really enjoyed playing with him.
So up to Hull, they're in a similar area in the league table, so we can expect quite a close battle up there, can't we? Yeah,
that's going to be a tough game. We know what to sort of expect from them. It'll be interesting to see what we can do against them, obviously, but without saying too much. But yeah, it's going to be a big weekend. We've got Hull tomorrow and Luton on Monday, so hopefully we can take as many points as possible from the next two games and finish the season strongly.
And earlier in the week, Curtis, it was our Easter Family Fun Day at Cardiff City Stadium, open training session, and a chance to see the supporters. Is that something you enjoyed, getting out and meeting all the fans at Cardiff City Stadium?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was such good support. It was weird having people, the fans watching training as well. It was like a bit of an atmosphere. But yeah, no, I'm sure they enjoyed it. We enjoyed obviously having them there. It was good to meet them after, sign a few bits and pieces and have a chat with a few of them as well. So yeah, it was brilliant.
In the league table, so we can expect quite a close battle up there, can't we?
Yeah, that's going to be
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Left again, strikes this time, goal! 1-0 to City out of nothing really, holding the ball away cheaply. And the Timbers strike emphatically, the pressure told in the end, 1-0 to City.
Marshall clears right footed down centre field looking for Mason. It's headed away, comes to Rawls, he drives a shot! What a goal from Joe Rawls! 1-1, he hit that left footed and Cardiff have got one back in front of their own fans. Hull City 1, Cardiff City 1.
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV.
Coleman
Good afternoon, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Welcome to the MKM Stadium in Humberside, home of Hull City, for this afternoon's game between the Tigers and the Bluebirds. Live commentary provided by myself, Ashley James, as we wait the arrival of the two teams. Cardiff make 7 changes this afternoon, is the headline news, ahead of another game on Easter Monday. 2 fixtures in really quick succession, and off the back of that 2-1 win away at Reading a week ago, which mathematically made Cardiff's stay in the Championship another year longer. 20 points now ahead of the drop zone, led to believe in excess of 600 Cardiff fans there have made the journey north this afternoon, hoping to witness just a 6th victory in 7 visits to this ground, and a first since Sean Morrison's double 4 years ago now, all but cemented City's return to the Premier League on that afternoon. For Hull, all but mathematically safe also. They are 15 points ahead of the drop zone themselves, another team who have pulled themselves clear, having endured a difficult season. Like the Bluebirds, changed managers midway through. Former Rangers and Ajax striker Shota Arveladze taking over back in January from Grant McCann. Won just 4 of his 14 games in charge, but should be enough to mean that these two will meet again twice next season in the Championship. And first, a Good Friday fixture here on Humberside with 3 points on the line and plenty of players with a point to prove ahead of next season. Two goalkeepers in identical pink kits there, you can see, but Hull, the home team, wearing a change strip of all black this afternoon. Cardiff in the avocado green away strip also. There's a PA announcer talks you through the team. There is the Hull starting lineup. They start in a back 3. It's been a static back 3 of Greaves, McLaughlin and Jones this second half of the season. Louis Coyle comes back into the right wing back position for his first start in nearly 2 months. And Keane Lewis Potter, the man to watch for Hull, the 21-year-old, has 10 goals to his name for the season already. For the Bluebird, it's much change from a week ago. 7 changes, in fact, as Cardiff revert to a back 3, a whole new back 3. Oliver Denham gets his first Championship start in a Cardiff shirt. Aidan Flint and Mark McGuinness join him in the back 3, and it's all change up top as well. Uche Ikpeazu gets himself a start alongside Mark Harris and Isaac Davis. 6 players drop to the bench, 1 drops out altogether. That man, Captain Joe Rolls, who isn't fit to go this afternoon. For Aidan Flint wears the captain's armband in his place. Richie Smallwood, former Rotherham man, the captain for Hull. Steve Martin, the referee. Looks like Hull won the toss